America's Got Talent is full of heartbreaking backstories. From a blind autistic savant who found his voice through music, to a cancer survivor who sang with a 2% chance of living, I'll be going over every devastating backstory in AGT history. We're starting with one of the most tragic: when your body betrays you. Some contestants faced medical challenges that should have ended their dreams before they started. We're talking about people whose own bodies turned against them at the worst possible moments. But here's what the judges didn't know about their conditions. Take Cody Lee. Everyone saw the blind autistic guy who could sing and play piano. But they didn't know that for most of his childhood, Cody couldn't communicate at all. His mom, Tina, spent years watching her son struggle to connect with anyone, including her.
He is blind and autistic. Oh. Wow. We found out that he loved music really early on. He listened and his eyes just went huge.
He was trapped inside his own mind with no way out. Music didn't just save Cody's career, it literally gave him a voice. Before he found the piano at age 4, he was completely isolated. The autism made social interaction nearly impossible, and being born with optic nerve hypoplasia meant he'd never see the world the way we do. But when his fingers hit those keys, something clicked. Troubled water. Suddenly, he could express everything he'd been holding inside. That audition where he sang "A Song for You," that wasn't just a performance. That was 24 years of pain and frustration finally finding a way out. And when Gabrielle Union hit that golden buzzer, she wasn't just sending him through. She was validating every parent who's ever watched their kid struggle to fit into a world that doesn't understand them. Then there's Mandy Harvey, who lost her hearing at 18.
Hey Mandy, so I think I've worked this out. So you're deaf?
Yes, I lost all my hearing when I was 18 years old.
While studying vocal music in college.
When I was in college, I thought I had an ear infection, and it just got worse and worse. And by Christmas, I was borderline legally deaf in both ears.
Imagine working your entire life toward becoming a professional singer, getting accepted into a music program, and then silence. Complete silence. Forever. But here's the part that'll mess you up. Mandy didn't just lose her hearing, she lost her entire identity. Everything she thought she was, everything she'd planned for her future, gone in an instant because of some connective tissue disorder she'd never even heard of. The depression that followed nearly killed her. Most people would have given up, but Mandy figured out how to feel music through vibrations in the floor. She performs barefoot now, using her whole body as an instrument to sense rhythm and pitch. When she sang "Try" for Simon Cowell,
the sky is gray, much more than it is blue.
she wasn't just singing about perseverance. She was proving that human beings can adapt to literally anything. Tyler Butler Figueroa's story hits different because he was just a kid when it all went wrong. Leukemia at age 4, 4 years of chemotherapy, hair falling out, and then the bullying started. Kids can be brutal, but what they did to Tyler went beyond typical schoolyard stuff. They made him feel like he was disgusting, like his cancer somehow made him less human. So he turned to the violin at age 7, not because he loved music, but because he needed somewhere to put all that anger and pain. When he played Stronger on that AGT stage, every note was a middle finger to every kid who ever made him feel worthless. And when Simon Cowell hit that golden buzzer,
I think you have such an amazing talent, such a personality, and I would like to say something on your behalf to the bullies.
it wasn't just for the performance. It was for every child who's ever been bullied for something completely out of their control. Calista Bevier might have the most devastating story in this category. Ovarian cancer at 15 years old. Not only did she nearly die, but the treatment required a hysterectomy. At 15, she'll never have biological children because cancer stole that choice from her before she was even old enough to make it. But here's what really gets me about Calista's story. She auditioned with Fight Song because that's exactly what her life had become. A fight song. Every day she woke up was another battle against a disease that tried to kill her during what should have been the best years of her life. These medical battles were just the beginning of their stories. Cody didn't choose to be born blind and autistic. Mandy didn't choose to lose her hearing. Tyler didn't choose cancer. Callista didn't choose to have her future ripped away at 15. But they all chose what to do next. They chose to fight. They chose to turn their biggest weaknesses into their greatest strength. What we're about to cover next broke Simon Cowell in ways I've never seen before. And trust me, that man has seen everything. But these next stories, they didn't just make him cry. They made him question everything about what it means to be human. The ones they lost. The most gut-wrenching performances came from people singing through fresh grief. We're not talking about old wounds that had time to heal. These contestants lost the most important people in their lives and then had to perform anyway. Let me show you exactly what loss sounds like on stage. Win Starks walked onto that AGT stage carrying the weight of losing his twin brother Kane. Not just losing him, watching him struggle with issues related to incarceration that Win couldn't fix, couldn't solve, couldn't make better. When Kane died in 2020, Win didn't just lose a brother, he lost half of himself. His audition song, Who I Am, wasn't just original music, it was a love letter to a dead man. Every word was something he wished he could have said before it was too late. And when the judges started crying, they weren't just moved by a good song. They were witnessing someone's soul being poured out in real time. But here's what makes Win's story even more devastating. He's built his entire career as a tribute to his brother. Every song, every performance, every moment of success is haunted by the person who'll never get to see it. Success without the person you most want to share it with isn't really success at all. Matt Mauser's story is different because his loss was so sudden, so public, so completely random. His wife Christina died in that helicopter crash with Kobe Bryant in 2020.
On January 26th of 2020, I lost my wife.
Oh, no.
One day he's a married father of 3. The next day he's a widower trying to explain to his kids why mommy isn't coming home. When Matt sang Against All Odds on that AGT stage,
there's nothing left here to remind me, just a memory of your face. Take a look at me now.
he wasn't just performing Phil Collins, he was singing to a ghost. Every word was directed at someone who would never hear it, never respond, never come back, no matter how perfectly he hit those notes. And here's the part that'll destroy you. Matt had to become both parents overnight. While dealing with his own grief, while processing his own trauma, he still had to wake up every morning and be strong for 3 kids who needed their dad more than ever. That performance wasn't about winning AGT, it was about proving to himself that he could still function, still create something beautiful, even though the most beautiful thing in his life was gone forever. Evie Claire's story hits different because she was just 13 when her world fell apart. Her dad was dying of stage 4 colon cancer, and she was trying to chase her dreams.
Where I'm going, I'm not afraid, babe.
While watching the most important man in her life fade away. The timing makes it even worse. She's competing on AGT, living her dream, and every phone call from home could be the one that changes everything. Every performance could be the last one her dad ever sees. Every moment of joy is mixed with the knowledge that it's all temporary. When she sang Arms during her audition,
You knocked me off the ground from the start. You put your arms around me, and I believe that it's
she was singing directly to her father. Not the audience, not the judges, not America, just him. It was a daughter telling her dying dad that she loved him in the only way she knew how. But here's what breaks my heart about Evie's story. Her dad died just days before the finals. She had to choose between being with her family or finishing what she started. She chose to perform, to honor him by doing what he'd want her to do. And when she dedicated that final performance to him, she wasn't just a contestant anymore. She was a daughter saying goodbye on national television. The survivors. Some backstories are so extreme they push the limits of human survival. We're talking about people who lived through experiences that kill most people, who endured things that would break anyone else, who somehow found the strength to not just survive, but thrive. And I'm about to prove it with 3 stories that will mess you up. Keiichi Okuchi was 16 years old when she boarded Sosoliso Airlines flight 1145 in Nigeria. It was supposed to be a routine flight home for Christmas break. Instead, Instead, it became one of the deadliest aviation disasters in African history. 107 people died in that crash. 107. Kechi was one of only 2 survivors, and for months, nobody was sure she'd make it either. Burns covered 65% of her body. Her face was completely destroyed. Her hands were so damaged, doctors weren't sure she'd ever be able to use them again. But here's what makes Kechi's story so incredible. Most people complain about getting one surgery. Kechi has endured more than 100, and each one was just to give her a chance at something resembling a normal life. When she sang Thinking Out Loud on that AGT stage, she wasn't just performing Ed Sheeran, she was proving that human spirit can survive literally anything. Every note she sang was a victory over the flames that tried to kill her. Every moment on that stage was proof that 107 people didn't die for nothing.
And fix what I've broken, climb every mountain.
And here's what gets me. Kechi doesn't talk about the crash with anger or bitterness. She talks about it with gratitude.
I sustained 3rd-degree burns over 65% of my body. All those people that died, and I don't know, I just felt so heavy. So I made a decision while in that hospital bed that I would spend my life living as fully as possible.
Gratitude for surviving when 107 others didn't. Gratitude for the doctors who rebuilt her body piece by piece. Gratitude for getting to sing on stages she never thought she'd see. That kind of perspective doesn't come from reading self-help books. It comes from literally walking through fire and choosing to find meaning in the ashes. Archie Williams spent 37 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit.
I was just incarcerated for 37 years for somebody else's crime.
Ooh. He was 22 when they locked him up for rape and battery in Louisiana. The evidence didn't match. The fingerprints weren't his. But he was black in the South in 1982, and that was apparently evidence enough. For 37 years, Archie woke up every morning knowing he was innocent and knowing nobody cared. When he finally walked free in 2019, he was 59 years old. Most of his life was gone. His youth, his dreams, his chance at a normal life, all stolen by people who were supposed to serve justice. But here's what's incredible about Archie. He's not angry. When he sang Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me on that AGT stage,
Although I search myself, there's always someone else I see. I'm just another fraction of your life to wander free.
there was no bitterness in his voice. Just a man celebrating freedom after 37 years of darkness. That performance wasn't about winning $1 million. It was about proving that they couldn't break his spirit. These aren't just sad stories. They're proof of something darker about human nature. But then there's Nightbird, and her story is different from all the rest. Jane Marchevsky was battling cancer when she walked onto that AGT stage in 2021. Not just any cancer. Doctors gave her a 2% chance of survival. A 2% chance. Think about those odds. You have a better chance of getting struck by lightning. She was also dealing with a recent divorce, which meant she was fighting for her life completely alone. No partner to hold her hand during chemo. No spouse to drive her to doctor appointments. Just her, facing down death with nothing but optimism and a guitar. When she sang It's Okay for Simon Cowell,
Okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. If you're lost, we're all a little lost, and it's all.
she wasn't performing for the judges or the audience or America. She was performing for herself. She was singing to prove that even with a 2% chance, she could still create something beautiful.
All my problems, they would stay behind. I was a stick of dynamite, and it just was a matter of time, yeah.
That original song wasn't just music, it was a philosophy. It's Okay became a mantra for anyone facing impossible odds. It became proof that hope doesn't require good odds, just good people. But here's what makes Jane's story the most devastating of all. After withdrawing from AGT to focus on her health, after inspiring millions of people around the world, she passed away in 2022. how they channeled their pain into performances that made grown judges cry, but surviving loss is different from surviving the impossible. And here's the thing, nobody talks about when they discuss these AGT backstories. They all prove the same terrifying truth about life. Bad things happen to good people. Really bad things. Things so bad they seem impossible, so random, they seem cruel, so devastating they break everyone who hears about them. But there's one thing about all these stories that nobody talks about. Every single one of these people had a choice. They could have let their trauma define them, could have given up, could have decided the world was too cruel to be worth fighting for. Instead, they chose to transform their pain into art, their suffering into strength, their worst moments into their greatest performances. And when you understand it, you'll never watch AGT the same way again.